Chapter 11, Problem Solving and Creativity. Obstacles and Aids to Problem Solving. Mental sets, positive and negative transfer are among the several factors that can hinder or enhance problem solving, while incubation plays a role in problem solving as well. Mental sets, a frame of mind involving an existing model for representing a problem context, or a procedure for problem solving. They can also influence the solution of rather routine problems. Entrenchment is another word for mental set, wherein problem solvers have an entrenched mental set. They fixate on a strategy that normally works well in solving many problems, but does not work well in solving this particular problem. Functional fixedness is a specific type of mental set that involves fixation. It is the inability to realize that something known to have a particular use may also be used for performing other functions and prevent us from solving new problems by using old tools in novel ways. Stereotypes, a type of mental set considered as an aspect of social cognition, which are the beliefs that members of a social group tend more or less uniformly to have particular types of characteristics. Negative and positive transfer. Often, people have particular mental sets that prompt them to fixate on one aspect of a problem or one strategy for problem solving to the exclusion of other possible relevant ones. Transfer is any carryover of knowledge or skills from one problem situation to another. It can be positive or negative. Negative transfer. This happens when solving an earlier problem makes it harder to solve a later one, or sometimes an early problem gets an individual on a wrong track. Positive transfer. This occurs when the solution of an earlier problem makes it easier to solve a new problem, or sometimes the transfer of a mental set can be an aid to problem solving. Transfer of analogies. Researchers designed some elegant studies of positive transfer involving analogies. To appreciate the results, you need to become familiar with the problem first, used by Carl Dunker, often called the radiation problem. It is described in the Investigating Cognitive Psychology Problems Involving Transfer. Investigating Cognitive Psychology Problems Involving Transfer. The radiation problem. Imagine that you are a doctor treating a patient with a malignant stomach tumor. You cannot operate on the patient because of the severity of the cancer. But unless you destroy that tumor, somehow the patient will die. You could use high-intensity X-rays to destroy the tumor. Unfortunately, the intensity of X-rays needed to destroy the tumor also will destroy healthy tissue through which the rays must pass. X-rays of lesser intensity will spare the healthy tissue, but they will be insufficiently powerful to destroy the tumor. What kind of procedure could you employ that will destroy the tumor without also destroying the healthy tissue surrounding the tumor? The military problem. A general wishes to capture a fortress located in the center of a country. There are many roads radiating outward from the fortress. All have been mined. Although small groups of men can pass over the road safely, any large force will detonate the mines. A full-scale direct attack is therefore impossible. What should the general do? Note that in the first experiment, participants received the military problem with a convergent solution and then were given a hint to apply it in some way to the radiation problem. In the end, 75% of them reached the correct solution. In another experiment, participants were not given the convergent solution to the military problem, or they need to figure it out for themselves. Only 41% went on to generate a parallel solution to the radiation problem. In conclusion, positive transfer was weaker when participants produced the original solution themselves than when the solution to the first problem was given to them. This experiment also generated the following. When the domains or the context for the two problems were more similar, participants were more likely to see and apply the analogy. Second, the most crucial aspect of these studies is that people have trouble noticing analogies unless they explicitly are told to look for them. The third one is, considering physical problems, positive transfer from solved examples to unsolved problems was more likely among students who specifically tried to understand why particular examples were solved as they were, as compared with students who sought only to understand how particular problems were solved as they were. People sometimes do not recognize the surface similarities of problems. Other times, they are fooled by surface similarities into believing two different kinds of problems are the same. Intentional transfer, searching for analogies. In order to find analogies between two problems, one must perceive the relationships between them, because in analogies, what matters is how contents are close to the structural systems of relationships match. Transparency, an opposite phenomenon in which people see analogies where they do not exist because of similarity of content. Transparency of content may lead to negative transfer between non-isomorphic problems if care is not taken to avoid such transfer. Incubation. In solving the problems, the challenging part is to avoid obstacles resulting from negative transfer and not the need to find a suitable strategy for positive transfer. It is putting the problem aside for a while without consciously thinking about it. It offers one way in which to minimize negative transfer. It involves taking a pause from the stages of problem solving. Incubation is more fruitful if people have more time to prepare in solving a problem. Neuroscience and planning during problem solving. In order to have enough time to solve a problem, we need to form a plan of action for the problem since planning can help us save time and improve performance. Frontal lobes, as mentioned in the previous chapters, are involved high-level cognitive processes, specifically the prefrontal cortex, are essential for planning for complex problem-solving tasks. Traumatic brain injuries also highlighted the importance of the prefrontal cortex in terms of problem solving because it is said that after it, both problem solving and planning ability decline. Intelligence and complex problem solving. Cognitive approaches for studying information processing can be applied to more complex problem solving tasks such as analogies, series problems, and syllogisms. Components. Mental processes used in performing this task, such as translating a sensory input into a mental representation, transforming one conceptual representation into another, or translating a conceptual representation into a motor output. Global planning. Encoding the problem and formulating a general strategy for attacking the problem or set of problems. The advantage of spending more time on it is the increased likelihood that the overall strategy will be correct. Local planning, forming and implementing strategies for the details of the task. More intelligent participants in traditional intelligence tests take more time on global planning. Expertise, knowledge, and problem solving. Even people who do not have expertise in cognitive psychology recognize that knowledge, particularly expert knowledge, greatly enhances problem solving. Expertise is superior skills or achievement reflecting a well-developed and well-organized knowledge base. Organization of knowledge. In a study conducted between experts and novices in beer, and it is found out that they share the same abilities when it comes to sorting the beers, but experts performed better on subsequent recognition tasks. These findings suggest that there was no difference in perceptual abilities between the experts and the novices, but there was a difference in memory between these two groups. Elaboration of knowledge. Working memory capacity may matter in solving a problem, but not nearly as much as knowledge. Knowledge has an important role in solving a problem because people can remember things better and solve problems with what they remember better if they have a solid knowledge base with which to work. For example, if we relate it to the study between the experts and the novices, this means that the expert schemas, which involved large, highly interconnected units of knowledge for solving the problems within their own domains of expertise, separate them from the novices, which schemas are relatively and disconnected units of knowledge. Another example, during another study on how novice and experts mathematicians solve a problem, they observed that novice problem solvers use a visual representation to solve problems that have an obvious spatial component, such as geometry problems, while expert problem solvers used visual representations to solve a wide range of mathematical problems, whether or not they had an obvious spatial component. The ability to apply a visual representation to a variety of problems allows greater flexibility and an increased likelihood that a solution will be found. Reflections on problem solving. Experts tend to spend more time in planning on how to represent the problem but spend lesser time implementing the strategy solutions than novices. It is because once the expert figured out the problem, they can quickly implement the strategy that they know and they can use. On the other hand, novices tend to focus more on what they should find out rather than the information given to them to formulate a solution and solve the problem. Experts not just only have more knowledge but also better organized knowledge and use it more effectively. This also makes them more accurate in predicting how difficult a problem is. Automatic expert processes. Experts have the ability to automatize various operations which they can retrieve and execute easily while working forward. There are two processes. Schematization. This involves developing rich, highly organized schemas. Automatization. This involves consolidating sequences of steps into unified routines that require little or no conscious control. With the use of these two processes, experts may shift the burden of solving problems from limited capacity working memory to infinite capacity long-term memory. In contrast, novices use their working memory, leading them to less working memory available to monitor their accuracy and progress, unlike experts who can use theirs in full capacity. Automaticity. These skills reduce the working memory load, but can also make the experts less flexible in solving a problem. This happens when they encounter a problem that differs structurally from the problems that they normally encounter. Initially, novices may perform better than experts when the problems appear structurally different from the norm. Eventually, however, the performance of experts generally catches up to and surpasses that of novices. This is Beverly Kate F. Aguilos from 2AB Psychology A, and that would be all. Thank you for listening and watching.